Howdy everybody in YouTube land. So besides of a couple things here and there, these are all the acquisitions I made from the Vintage Computer Festival of 2023 in the Southeast. So I have 3 keyboards. Now I got a couple for other people, but the issue is, like, these still sound normal, but the F and G keys do not. So that keyboard needs repair work. But anyways, that's not what this video is going to be about. This video, I've got 3 Macintosh machines here that I picked up. I want to take a look at one of them. I want to do a video for each one, but I think that's the one I want to take a look at right here. This Macintosh Classic 2. So let's pull it out of its little sarcophagus here. So here we have a Macintosh Classic 2 from the VCF Southeast 2023 haul. So there's not much known about this machine. I haven't taken it apart yet. Now this one, according to the diagram on the top, it says boots to Jailbars. Well, hopefully we can get this thing to pass go and get this thing to collect $200 and then get this thing out of jail. But looking from the top, it looks like they pried the crap out of it, making it worse. And there was a bunch of these that were brought in, if you saw my previous video, and I made sure to grab the one that wasn't all chewed to crap and back. So all we know is it boots the Jailbars, and then there was something taped on the front, which I don't know what was in that bag, but it ain't there now. So it's long gone. But so we have that. On the side here, we have this, which I don't know what that ever went to. It appears to have very minimal yellowing. There's a gouge on the top, unfortunately. But on the back side, just got your standard complement of ports. But I will say that there is a warranty void if removed sticker. Which, this is absolutely hilarious to me. What warranty? Because, yeah, this thing supposedly boosts to Jailbars. Now, that sticker could have been put on there years and years ago when this thing was bought, functional. So it's really hard to say. But without further ado, let's get some power in here. You know what? Normally I take these things apart. But I figure, well, that sticker's probably not lying, so it's already been apart once. So let's find out. What does this thing do? I hear a fan. And sure enough, it definitely boots to Jailbars. Looks like this is just the default state of RAM, so the CPU's not running for some reason. Alright, I guess we're going to crack this guy apart and find out what's going on. But the CRT is nice and bright. I don't really see any burning or anything, so I might have got lucky there, at least. Figured before I take it apart, might as well peel this off, because I don't even know what this was. Yeah, it looks like there might have been something in there at one time, but it's gone now. Perhaps it's a missing screw. Who knows? It's hard to say, but it's trash now, so in the trash it goes. Alright, time to take it apart. Boots to Jailbars. It doesn't even boot. So there's not even a chime or anything. So boot would be, it would be a stretch. I'll just say that. Let's move you out of the way. Boot would certainly be a stretch. Man, this thing's rough. Look at this. The back's pretty yellowed. But that's a gouge from hell. I wonder if I could fill that in with some filler. But it wouldn't match the rest of the plastic. But luckily it's on the back, so it's not anything crazy. So I've had this screwdriver since I've been a teenager. I may have just I've had this screwdriver since I first started working on Macs, and that would have been in the 98 time period, 99, so I wasn't even quite a teenager yet. It's lasted a while. Ooh, that's tight. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Macintosh Classics are notorious for needing capacitors. So there could be a bit of that going on. But who knows if this thing was recapped or the history is just relatively unknown. And it looks like the feet are starting to melt. So it's been sitting for a while. I need to get the feet off of that. Okay, well, considering I void warranties, let's get you out of here. Bye. I think that sticker's definitely modern, so this may have been done by a recapper because that gold flake is stuck on there. So, all right. I'll pull you out because you're stuck. There we go. Alright, so now we gotta get this apart, which I need both hands to do that. Alright, now that I got the rear cover off, no way this thing had a warranty. I don't know why that sticker was on there. There's no hard drive, so that's missing. Although that's not very surprising. The screws are just kind of barely in there. There's one in there, and it's not even the right screw. Someone just jammed a random screw in there. I love it. So, getting the cover off was not exactly the easiest in the world to do. But yeah, that doesn't go back there. That's the wrong screw. I don't know where that screw came from. That probably came out of the hard drive itself. But that sucks. So that doesn't go in there. Oh, we're missing the FPU board. Also, we still have all of the original capacitors that are in this board. There's a battery in this board. Oh man, this is fun. But hey, yeah, that's just how things go when you buy stuff secondhand, right? That's just how it works. But I don't see any signs of battery bombage, so that is always a good thing. Let's just get the board out. So let's see, is that the original battery? Yes, it is. The original battery. Whew! Wow. Okay. Definitely have to diffuse that situation. But there's nothing wrong. I tell you one thing is for sure. Look at that egret. That is not good. It's disgusting. So that's why it's not working. There's a lot of reasons why this isn't working, but the caps are definitely a huge part of why it's not working. But this is only part of the problem. We also have the analog board. These caps back in here are known for leaking and causing problems, so that has to be taken care of. I need to get in there and replace those too, but I don't know if I have those on hand, so I'm gonna have to do some scrounging around in my supply stash. And this has never been off before because this is still stuck on, so nothing done there. There's a parabola adjustment that was done to it. Newer flyback. This has the flyback on it that will lock to full VGA frequency if you wanted to. So you can run this at 640 by 480 if you modify the circuitry a little bit, but we're not going to do that. I don't know what that bag is in the front, but because the hard drive is missing, I think those might have been the screws for the hard drive. And well, they're gone now, so oh well, it is what it is. But right, 92, 50th week of 1992. All right. Okay, so let's start getting all these boards out because I need to do that in order to start figuring out which parts I need to recap it. Alright, so I got the boards removed and I got the battery bomb diffused. So this one appears to just need caps. Needs a basic recap, which is probably why it's got jail bars, with the exception of the egret, which has me slightly concerned, but we'll have to do what we can do with what we have. So we'll set that out of the way. I have the analog board currently removed, and according to this guy, the analog board doesn't look too bad, except until you get down here, and you can see all of the liquid spill, glistening like on that diode. So all these caps are leaking and have to be replaced. Again, no surprises there, right? So they all have to go. Unfortunately, looks like it's made by Matsushita, Panasonic. So Panasonic transformer. Alright, so that's got to get taken care of. So far, it's looking like a basic recap. It looks like I need to clean the dust off. Because, she looks a little bit Plego-buggoed. Yeah, just a tiny bit. Anyways, so I have to remove that because I gotta get to this floppy drive, because we gotta service the floppy drive, right? But how do we... Oh, nah. There's a cornholio right through here. That allows us to get to that screw. Same thing with this one there. Got some dust bunnies, some spidey webs that have to be taken care of. This floppy drive has never been out before because the screws are cracking loose at this point. I don't want to lose any more down the rabbit hole here. So once I get this out of the way, you know what's next, right? We got to test the CRT and see what shape it's in. It looked like it was pretty bright in the photo, but you never know. So there you. It still has its original super drive, so we're going to set you off to the side there. Okay, let's go grab the tube tester and let's test that picture tube and see how well it is. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a 12.6 volt CRT, so let's go to filament set, turn the power on. Well, I'll make sure I don't blow it up. Is the filament warming up? Yeah, filament's warming up, so filament adjust, 12.6 volts, so that's right. Check for shorts. Okay, we got shorts, so alright, that means we're using the wrong socket for this tube. Okay, so let's rotate you around, because there's two different sockets you can use for those. So let's try that one. Set filament. We got a glow, 12.6 volt, no shorts, gun balance. Oh boy, I had to crank that thing wide open. Checking missions. Damn, son, where'd you get this? Yeah, that's a pretty strong picture tube. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So, well, it looks like we're dropping off now. So let's do low bias. Get it set that way. Check emissions again. See, that looks more normal. That looks normal. That's testing about what I expect. Because remember, a brand new CRT is up in the D. Because, well, we tested a new CRT on this tester before. So that looks more accurate. That looks about where I expect it to be for something that's used. But that's not bad. Let's do a life test. Falls a little bit. Yeah, I mean it's got some use on it, but that's good. That's a very good sign. So the picture tube has tested successfully, so we're going to leave it just like that. All right, let's unplug you. Move you on to the next one. Now we knew this thing provided a picture, it provided Jailbars, but I just wanted to make sure what the CRT tested like, no shorts, and we're good. So let's move on to the next thing. So I got a little bit of white vinegar on the board. I just wanted to try to soak in a little bit of that cap juice. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I've not tried this before, but given how corroded some of these chips are, I want to try it and see what happens. So now that I'm going to let that sit for a bit, and then hopefully we can get this thing cleaned up. So it's been about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. So I think we're good now. This is bigger than here. That's the one I want to see the most. Now, I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner handy. I wish I did. But alas, I do not. I do at work, but I don't here. And I don't work on this stuff at work. Spot that I want to get to. It's right here. There's an 8-bolt regulator that sits right there that I couldn't get to. This is a bad spot right here. Alright, you get the idea. Alright, so while that logic board is drying off before I remove the caps, I need to take a look at the analog board. Now, unfortunately, the analog board is not going to be as easy because I'd like to wash this analog board, but I can't because the speaker is in the way and it's all riveted in place. So I'm going to have to work around it. Now, luckily, there's no major issues on the back side of the board, but there is on the front side. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to suck off the caps, the transformer, and all these little jelly bean parts around it and try to clean up, including this Molex connector here, which contain for the that. So I want to pull all of that out and I want to clean that up first before I change these. Now the other ones probably need changed too, but I don't I don't see any issues yet. I don't know if I have them on hand. I have to look and see. I doubt it. I'm probably going to have to make an order for caps. 250. I might actually have that one. Maybe. I know I have this one. This one's going to be sketchy, but yeah. So, all right. Let's go ahead and do the best we possibly can to get this thing cleaned up. Get all this goo out. I got to remove the transformer too because it's all that shit is up under there as well. So, all right. Time to get busy. Alright, so I have all of the parts removed now. The leaky capacitors, transformer, and a couple diodes. And you can just see the nastiness down here. I even removed the Molex connector. So I think, at least I'm hoping, this will be enough so I can take my Q-tips and paper towel and stuff and just clean all of this crap up with alcohol. And then clean the components up and get all the debris off the components. And then put new caps in it, reinstall it, and it should be good. Now, I have all of these caps with the exception of this one. I don't think I have a 47 or 470 at 50 kicking around here. I know I got 470s at 35, but 50 might be pushing it. So, and yeah, it's leaky, so that's a shame. But it is what it is. We're going to have to keep plugging on, and hopefully I have something that'll go in there, but I honestly don't know. I know I'm kind of like bouncing around all over the place here, but I'm going to get back to this logic board now that it's cooled off, dried off, stuff like that. I want to go ahead and try to get all these caps off of here. I tried to clean in between the chips as best as I possibly could with this, pick tool here. It's kind of painful, but the corrosion's gone off the chip for the most part. It's kind of gone off of this chip too. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit pitted from the corrosion. But alright, so let's go ahead and start pulling off all of these caps and changing them. Thinking about using reflow heat for these because they're so close together and I don't want to rip the pads off the board, especially here. So yeah, let's just do it that way. Alright, so the logic board is done now. I used a hodgepodge of caps because I had to use what I had on hand. So I used through-hole 1 microfarads and 47 electrolytics, but then I used 10 ceramics. Don't do what I do, but this is what I had on hand. Now, ceramics are not ideal because the properties of those capacitors will change based on the applied voltage. And in some circuits, that can be undesirable. But the fact that in this case they're being used as decoupling capacitors, they'll probably be okay. But I typically don't have any problems with it, but your mileage may vary. So we'll just leave it at that. Typical disclaimer. But I got the caps in there that I want to get in there. So I can go ahead and set this one aside. And luckily, these SIM sockets have metal tabs, which is helpful. So, anyways, I want to go ahead and get the analog board taken care of. So the logic board can be put aside. Now I got to go through my stash of caps and see what I can toss into the analog board if I have anything. So let's rummage through our parts of stuff. Alright, so another thing I want to check for before I get too carried away is this speaker, because these are kind of notorious for going open on the classics. So let's go ahead and check that guy out. And yeah, this one's no exception. So that speaker is going to have to get taken out anyways. Yeah, it's done. So what happens typically with these is this is the amplifier which drives the speaker, I'm pretty sure. And when the capacitors go bad, it causes DC to get sent into the speaker, which, guess what that does? It fries the voice coil in the speaker. So that's likely what happened to this guy. So I'm going to have to go through my junk stash and see if I can find an equivalent speaker. And I got to find mounting hardware to put it on because it's riveted in. So that's an unfortunate situation. So I have good news and bad news. I drilled out the rivets that held the speaker in, and I got the speaker removed. Okay, so now when Tectone Sound and Signal, which is where these speakers were made, were moving out of their old building into the new one, they emptied in a complete dumpster full of old stuff. Well, there was about 100 of these in that dumpster or more. I only grabbed the first few I could get off the top when I went checking through that dumpster because we were in the building next door to that. And when I saw them, is the reason why I grabbed them is because this looks exactly like the speaker that would be used in a compact Macintosh. It also matches up impedance wise, 63 ohm versus 60 ohm. So this looks like a suitable replacement. But there's a problem. And that problem is this right here. So the original speaker is smaller than the one that I have here. So I don't know where to get these anymore. I don't know if you even can. So I can probably make this work, but it's going to be ugly. This isn't going to fit in there because the wires, and there's just no room. I can't do anything about that, but I might be able to get it in like this, potentially like glue this down or tape this down on the ear or something and just kind of hack it in there. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to figure it out, but something's better than nothing because right now that's open circuit and I don't have anything, but I'll figure that out in a bit. First off, I want to get the caps and stuff put in there. Alright, so once again, I'm short on caps. What else is new? So I didn't have any 470s at 50. So I took a pair of 1000s at 25 at low impedance and put them in series to give me 500 at 50, which is close enough to 470. So that'll work. It's not, again, it's not ideal because it requires these two caps to be almost perfectly balanced, which is not always the case, right? So there we go. The only thing left to do is I might change all the ones in here that I do have on hand. And then what I don't have on hand, I'll leave behind for now. It is what it is. This thing is kind of like a hack job from hell. But it's my machine, so it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm doing it for someone else. If I was doing it for someone else, I would get all the right stuff. But it's fine. So the next thing to do is to figure out the most janktified rig that I can come up with on this speaker, because it's not going to fit in here. It's not happening. I could, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. I don't know if I'm just going to use VHB tape. I'm probably going to use VHB tape. So I'm thinking maybe I don't know. I got to figure this out. Because here's where I'm at. Like, I'm wondering if I can just get a piece of tape up under there. Gah. I could flip it this way and have it fire outward like it was originally, but I can't because the wires are in the way. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at the current moment in time. And there we go. Maximum jank. This is like the absolute worst speaker install ever, but it's in there. It's gonna speakerify. That's kind of what I was hoping for. So, yeah, I'm kind of scared, but it'll hold for a while anyways. For what we're doing, yeah, all it's going to do is go beep and show it, or, a chime, and that's about it. So I changed these two caps out for now because those are the most critical at the moment. All the rest of them are still original. I just want to see now if it'll work, and I'll just mark this thing down as partially recapped. But I want to see if we can unjail the Jailbars, and let's see what happens. Alright, well, that's not going to work because this speaker is in the way of this little flange right here. So if I got to slide it on, it hits the speaker. So, man, everything is just in the way over here. So yeah, that's not gonna work, clearly. So yikes. Okay, so well, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on this one. Alright, so it's apparent I'm going to have to go online and find a good source of speakers because two more problems. So I janked this one in there while the impedance is wrong, and two, the magnet's exposed. It's not a shielded speaker. So that's going to cause a problem with the CRT. You're just going to want to bend the raster out towards this. But for testing, it'll work. So, alright, let's try this again. Let's get it back together. Well, that one's not cleaning the bracket either. I can't slide the board all the way up. But for testing, it'll work because I'm tired of dicking with it. So let's get the board in here and hope that thing works properly and the jail bars go away. The board's kind of in there. It doesn't really want to stay in there, but for testing it'll work just fine. So let me grab my power cable. Well, here we go. It's either going to blow up or it's going to work. No chime. And nothing! Oh well. I heard the high voltage come up though. High voltage is up, but I've got no output from the machine, so... Oh, there we go. Still nothing. You know what? I got no activity from the reset button either. That's not good, so we're going to have to do some further troubleshooting. So I think I've narrowed this down, and the egret's bad. I'm pretty sure it is. Based on how heavily corroded it was, I'm not surprised. Because, while it gives me jail bars sometimes, right? And then sometimes it doesn't. And when it does, all I got to do is... If I sometimes touch this chip or flex this board, I'll catch the monitor shutting on and off repeatedly. The reset button doesn't want to respond, but it does respond sometimes. And if I touch my finger on this chip, I'll lose the jail bars. So it's telling me this chip is bad, which is a shame because there's no replacement for those. So the only fix for that is to find another board, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to have to dig around and see if I have a parts board with this on it. I may or may not. I don't honestly know. It's not good. Alright, so I've got a pretty strong suspicion that the egret is bad. Just because of how the reset button's acting and, you know, it's just... Well, it's in the path of the worst capacitor damage on the board. Now, the good news is... I have this parts LC3 board here. Now, this was my first LC3 that I picked up in like 2008, 2009 time period. And this one worked, with the exception of every once in a while, you'd get a death chime or some other weird crashes or instabilities, and then the raster would shake really bad and then clear up, even with new caps and cleaning boards. But eventually it just started death chiming, and that was the end of it. So I used this board to fix another LC3 board, and everything works fine. So my LC3 is up and going again. But, you know, this has bad ROMs in it. This just became a parts board, basically. I had to borrow a couple of chips off of it. So, kind of find out, the 0851, well, it's the same egret that's in here. So, I can borrow this guy off of this board to fix this one. So I think that's what we're going to do, is we'll just steal the egret off of this one because it's already a parts board. Plus this has the crystal if I need it. If this one's bad or something, I have that. But yeah, so why don't we just go ahead and use the parts off of this one. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so that chip is now installed. The other one's just kind of like laying over here now. I don't know if it's actually bad or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. But, I've been wrong before, many times. So, this one's reinstalled. I'm just waiting for it to cool down all the way. And once it does, we'll try this thing again. It's one thing after another, ain't it? Alright, so let's figure out a place to put this board. It doesn't just get destroyed all of a sudden. Yeah, that's scary. Alright, so here goes nothing. Do we get anything? Well, we got Jailbars still. So that didn't help much. But let's see if the reset button works. No. I wonder if the oscillator's not running on that chip. So, okay. I was wrong. The egret's not bad. Unless it went bad on the other board, which I don't think so. That board tried to work. So I know that's not my issue. That's crazy. I wonder if the crystal is bad. As soon as I touched it. As soon as I touched the crystal, it did that. I find that very strange. Look what's happening as soon as I touch that crystal. Yeah, that's a problem. I need to hook this up to a oscilloscope and find out, like this guy here, and find out what's going on. Because I'm getting black screen and Jailbars. Now let's power cycle this, see if I can get the bars back. Oh, now I got a checkerboard. That's new. But as soon as I touch this oscillator, see, where's my finger? There it is. See? As soon as I touch this oscillator, that's not normal. Something's up with that. So let me grab a scope probe and all of that fun stuff and see what we got going on with that. Alright, so the Classic 2 differs slightly from like the LC2 schematic. The button doesn't go directly to pin 2 on this chip. It's actually going at pin 6, which is also pin 20 on the DFAC. So slightly different. But none of the reset lines are responding. And every time I touched this crystal, it would do that weird scenario with the screen going black. So now I decided to swap the crystal in. I pulled the old one out. I want to see what the crystal does this time, if anything. I do not know. Let's see. Still no chime. See what we get on the screen. Nothing. What does the reset button do? Oh, hey. Reset button's doing something. You hear the power supply tick every time I press that button. Alright, so that means the egret is now alive. So that problem is solved, but we've got no video output. So I need to find out why that is. It might be erasing video memory. And that's why it's doing that. But there's no... We're not getting beyond that point. So I'm thinking that's what's going on here. The ROM is erasing video memory, but we're not getting past that point. Alright, well, more troubleshooting. I think I might know at least part of what's going on. So when I used the tool to pull the ROMs out in the very beginning, I scratched the crap out of the board. You see that? So right here, there's a there's a scratch between two traces. Well, the top trace is broke, which is pin 4. It's the fourth pin down here to here. They're supposed to be connected together. Well, they're not. So I broke that. But I have I've got 2 scratches up in there I have to check. And then that one's broke. So, yeah, that was me being stupid is what that was. That's probably why it's black screen. I need to, yeah. Alright, I only saw the one trace broke, and I patched that up real quick with a little blob of solder, so... I hope this does it. Seriously. Whoa, yes! That's what I wanted to see. Yes, it works! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I ripped the trace. That's why it didn't work. Oh man. Alright. Alright. Now that I got my stupidity out of the way. Alright, so this is where I keep all of my junk spare parts and stuff like that. So, okay, in my random box of spare parts, I did manage to locate this. So, I don't remember what machine this was for, but that doesn't matter because that's the speaker that I need. So, there we go. So, let's go ahead and put that in, and that'll fix our Classic 2. And there we go. Pulled that one back out of there, and now this one's installed. So this one is 16 ohms. There's the part number. This is a 16 ohm speaker versus a 60 ohm speaker, so it's going to be a little harder on the amplifier, but it doesn't matter. It's only there for a chime, to be honest, and it worked fine with 8 ohms, as we heard earlier. So I don't know what machine this was for. Maybe this was for a 2 or LC2 or something. I don't know, but so there we go. We got the speaker. So we're gonna have to measure this stuff out and see if we can't find something equivalent. So going forward into the future, because that's a common problem with these classics. All right, so now we can start putting this thing back together. Well, almost. Not so fast. We got to service the disk drive. Now, I've serviced a billion of these on this channel, so I'm not going to service another one. I will bring the video back in case there's a problem with this one that we're not aware of, but otherwise, we're just going to fix it and then move on. So, I'm cleaning up the floppy drive, and I took the eject mechanism apart because I'm getting ready to clean it up and re-grease everything, but I just wanted to say something here. Now, the eject gears like to crumble and fall apart, right? Well, this one's still solid. And I took my fingers and I flexed on this a bit, and it's not breaking. But look, see it warping? This thing is actually, which I knew this was going to break, but this thing is it's turned into rubber. It's like it's this. I thought this is supposed to be a hard plastic, but it's rubber. So it makes sense why it's falling apart, because when I flex on it, I can just bend and twist it like rubber. This is not supposed to be rubber. See, look at that. Yeah, it ain't, no, it ain't supposed to be rubber. This is bad. So yeah, there you go. The eject gear's crumbling apart on all of these drives, right? Which we've seen 50,000 YouTube videos on it. But one thing I've noticed, it's turned into a consistency of rubber. Yeah, so it's just something I just found fascinating. Alright, so the floppy drive service. Now, before I put this thing all the way back together, I want to test everything first. So I got my floppy MU cable so I can bring the drive way out here. So, okay, we have that. The replacement eject gears sound like ass. Alright, so in theory, it should reject this disc because it's not a Macintosh formatted disc. So we'll see. This one is. Here we go. Nope, that's a negative. Alright, let's try Lido. There we go. It's running. Rip. Okay. Eject U. That one doesn't work. Where's my reset button? Okay, so I need a newer disk. This is System 7.5 network access disk. It's going to take a very long time to start that disk. So I'll be back in a minute. Still loading. There we go. So, that floppy drive seems to be working just fine. It's a good drive. I like it when it's good. Alright, so this thing is basically starting all the way up without causing me any problems. So, System 7.5 NAD appears to be working fine. So, we're all good there. Eject that disk. And then do the oops, wrong button. Reboot. Alright. So that works. This doesn't because it's the wrong system version. Let's check the eject one more time. God, that's so loud. But it does what it needs to do. It spits it out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this drive put back together. And put this machine back together. Well, I gotta get a hard drive for it. But yeah, we're good. Alright, so I got a hard drive installed. I gotta format it and all that fun stuff. So everything's installed. I got the floppy emulator connected. But there's a problem. So if I go to the Macintosh stuff, whoops, I go to system disks. I want to do 7.1 installer. Install. Guess what? Nada. It's not doing anything. So the external floppy drive port does not work. So I'm going to have to pull this motherboard back out of here and find out what's going on with the external floppy drive. Now, what I can do is because I can reboot this machine, like if I press this reset button here, hold the mouse button, it will eject it. Wait a minute. What in the world? What? This thing was not... What? Instead of rejecting it, it's actually starting up. That's weird. Unless the Classic 2 is not designed to boot from an external floppy. That is weird. Huh. Okay. Alright, well, that's strange. Alright, I power cycled the machine and remounted the disk image, and see what I mean? That's weird. So I'm going to hit the reset button again. See if it'll mount it. It ejected it. It definitely ejected it. But it's not. Now, the only difference is I plugged the internal floppy drive back in. Let me hold the mouse button again. Yeah, see, it's ejecting it. So this thing's weird. It won't work. Yeah, that's weird. It's the floppy drive. If I unplug that... Don't do this while it's on. I'm doing it anyways. So... reset, remount that again, reboot again. Yeah. It does it with the internal floppy drive connected. I wonder why that is. Alright, so I went through this board, and I'm not seeing any shorts or opens at all. So, because the biggest, most common problem with these compact Macs is shorts developing internal on these Bourne's network filters, which these are Apple part numbers, but these are made by Bourne's. Okay, so like the SE, the SE30 has them in through-hole parts, but this one's surface mount because you have one here, but then you have two over there. So it's just like the SE and SE30, right? So I wanted to check across and I wanted to check channel to channel, and I want to check from channel to the outer pins, and they're all fine. So I don't know what the issue is. It only works properly with the floppy drive disconnected. So the internal floppy drive works fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the external does not if the internal's connected. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I don't know why that is just yet, but I'm not finding anything obvious. So the only thing I can think of is because from the schematics I've seen in the past, the internal and external connectors are passed through. They're literally signal for signal. The only difference is the drive select. Then the drive select comes out of one of these gate arrays somewhere. So unless there's a problem with the drive select, which I don't think there is, but it could also be this thing. Because remember, this thing's modified. So, and I had a problem with this in the past on an SE30 not working properly. So it could just be that thing. I don't know. But before I chase a red herring, I'm just going to go ahead and put this thing all back together and at least get some sort of an OS installed on this monster. There's the casualty of parts that this machine needed. So that was open. This crystal was bad. Now this chip may or may not be any good, I don't know. But that for sure was bad. And obviously all the capacitors were shot too. So machine needed all of that. Plus I had to install a hard drive and an eject gear into the floppy disk drive. Alright, we're running Mac Test Pro. The floppy drive and the external floppy emulator works perfectly fine if I use this emulator. So it must be the other one. When I did the resistor mod, it's possible the resistor values I used are too high. Because this one's working fine. But anyway, so that's it for this machine. I'm running the hardware tests now, and it looks like everything's passing. So I think we're going to end it for this video. So this has been a repair of a Macintosh Classic 2. So if you have a comment, please feel free to leave one. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. It really helps the algorithm out because my videos are not really getting any views, unfortunately. But it just is what it is sometimes. So thank you for watching. Until next time.